call you the underdog. They think you're the underdog, but you're at the bottom. But we going straight to the top.
Straight to the top.
Today, we kings.
I'm a king, sometimes I feel like I'm petty. In the pits living my dream, I don't think that they ready. Yeah, Area 51 podcast right here. You already know what we do. We're gonna talk about a little bit of racing, and we're gonna talk about pacing back and forth. We're trying to figure out who gonna win and who gonna come at the bottom. Let's go. This is Cap Houston right here. Bobby, what you got for me?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Bobby. We've got Rob and Dave with us. How you guys doing tonight?
All right.
Doing good, Bobby. You?
We've also got two special guests, Mark Martin and Matt Martin. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing good.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to this.
Episode 25, and we've got an NASCAR legend. You guys want to tell us about the Mark Martin archive? To start it
out? I'll start out by just saying that, it's all Matt's idea. He's the one that came up with it. It's been a great bonding experience. When Matt was growing up, he didn't realize really what I was doing. I mean, he thought probably everybody's dad was a race car driver. He grew up going to the races and being around, Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott and Richard Petty and all these guys. So, he through all the research that he's put into the archive and all the stuff that he's worked on, he's really learned so much about my accomplishments and what I did. And actually, honestly, he knows more about my career, especially the NASCAR segment of my career, than I do. He can look at any year car, any uniform, and tell you what year it is way sooner than I can. So it's been a cool experience, and I'm just really proud of it. We've had a lot of fun with it, and the fans' response to how it all got started and all the momentum that it's built has just been phenomenal.
Yeah, I'd say Dad summed it up pretty good right there. I started Mark Martin Archive a little over 2 years ago, and really, I didn't put much thought into it. I just had been trying to persuade Dad for really a long time, maybe 10 years actually, to do a book about his career and his life, because I think he's got a really inspiring story. So I finally persuaded him, and we started, the process of getting the book written and doing the interviews and collecting photos and stuff for it. And I just had this idea when I woke up one morning. I was like, why don't I just start an Instagram page and, just post some old photos and, little stories and stuff from Dad's career. And man, it all snowballed from there. It just took off. It's crazy to think now that, like the Instagram page has over 30,000 followers. And yeah, it was just something I just thought I'd start, and had no idea it'd be where it's at now. So
now I've got a question for both of you guys. Mark, with having Matt at the racetrack all the time, and then Matt, as you get older and you're starting to see some of the cup talent, such as, the second or third generation of people coming with that you just used to chill with, as a kid, how's all that working, as far as who you're watching and what you're doing?
Well, to be honest with you guys, I'm really not a motorsports or race fan. Okay. It's kind of odd, I guess, being who my dad is, but I've never been a big sports guy. But I don't really follow anybody. But I will say, when I go to the races, it's kind of funny to see some of those guys that I knew, and when I was real little, raced against some. Or if we didn't race against each other, we were at the track together. They might have been a little bit older than me or a little younger. So it's kind of neat. But yeah, I don't follow racing. I know a lot about Dad's career, and his era, but as far as what's going on today, I don't really pay that close attention to it.
And
Now with the, go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
yeah, I'm just a race fan, now. And I knew all these kids when they were growing up, Corey LaJoy and shoot, man, all those guys really, Chase Elliott, shoot, Jordan Anderson. Matt raced against Jordan Anderson. And oh man, that dude was fast at Charlotte. Jordan was. I'm a huge fan of Jordan's, by the way, of what he's done. It's pretty remarkable what he's accomplished and doing it the hard way. So I'm a big fan of Jordan's. But yeah, I saw all those kids kind of growing up, and I'm a fan today. I watch the races. If I can't watch them, I listen to them on the radio. If I can't listen on the radio, then I'll follow it on Twitter. So I'm always up on what's going on, and the racing is quite different now. But it's still racing, and it's still really part of my life from the time I was, 10 years old, I would say, till now. And it was a major part of my life for 40 years.
So, Mark, what I was going to ask you is, you had obviously a lot of success in your career, especially really early in the ASA series. You won Rookie of the Year in 77, 78, 79, 80. You won the national championship for the series, and then another one in 86. So at that very young age, compared to now, let's say you're 16 years old now, and now starting in racing in this era, how do you think you would do compared to back then? Obviously, it's apples to oranges because of technology and different equipment and stuff, but just curious what you would say you would think how you would do.
I really don't know, because it would be a totally different environment, and my skills would have to be completely different. So I started out always racing against somebody better than me, better driver than me. Wayne Brooks when I was 15 years old. Larry Carson when I was 16 years old. Larry Phillips when I was 17 years old and 18 years old. And then Dick Trickle when I was 18, and Bob Seneker and Tom Refner and Joe Shear and Dave Watson, Larry Schuler. All those guys were better drivers than me. I was young. I was coming up, and the way I could beat them, I learned that I could beat them if I made my car better. So in my philosophy, I think I made my cars better than Trickle and all these different guys. And it served me well even when I got to NASCAR. I didn't ever think about out-driving Dale Earnhardt. I knew that if I made my car fast enough, I'd win. And so I don't know that you can do that now. Maybe you can, but you have to have a lot of different tools, than were required back then. I just thought about chassis setups and aero. I honestly worked on bodies and on chassis setups, weight. I can't tell you, I've got scars on my hands right now, from, hole saws grabbing my hand right here, ripping it open when I was post styling frame rails or other things, bumpers or whatnot. Laid under cars with a grinder and ground all the nubs and knobs off of transmissions and engine blocks and steering boxes and stuff like that. So that's what I did. I don't know how I could address the car in that same way today. I guess I could, but I don't know. Maybe I would just focus on my driving. That's what they do now. The NASCAR drivers do now. They focus on what, they have the telemetry stuff from the other drivers. They watch the other drivers, learn how to apply that. They watch tapes, and they drive the simulator, and the chassis setups are done on a computer with sims and stuff. And who knows, maybe I'd be a driver with a laptop with sim, and I do the running the sim stuff at night like the crew chiefs do. I don't know how it was a different time, and my formula worked for me, and I wouldn't want to do it any different.
I did love that story you told on the Dirty Mo with the spring and then lying about the lead weight in the car, and you were like, I didn't even know that I was supposed to say anything about that. You just knew it worked, went out there, did it right, and it just worked. I mean, that to me is that's a racer.
Well, I thought I had them. You know, they downsized NASCAR cars in 1981, so none of the NASCAR guys had experience with the new car. So it was a good time for me to catch them while they were off guard, you know, back on their heels. And I built this car, and I built it just like my ASA car, as far as it met the NASCAR rules mostly. But it was super light, and it had 600 pounds of lead in it. Most of those guys' cars had 200 pounds of lead in it. You know, my car wasn't built to run 500 miles and chase points. My car was built to haul that. And my plan was to try to win a race. And we led Martinsville for 40 laps and run third. That's pretty good with the ASA crew, with no one who's never been, none of us had ever been, you know, to NASCAR races. We didn't hire anybody from down south to even advise us. I actually thought we knew better than them. And it was looking like out of 5 races with 2 poles out of 5 races, the worst I qualified was 6th, and a 3rd and a 7th and an 11th place finish. You know, I thought we had them. Boy, was I wrong. I mean, I totally underestimated Junior Johnson with 7 cars. And, some of those top teams, Bud Moore and some of those guys, I had 2 cars and no money. But I thought I'd win right away. And I thought if I won, I would get money. And boy, I fell flat on my face. You know, I just wasn't prepared for Winston Cup in 1982 for sure.
So I was going to follow up. So you were basically self-taught on how to do setups, tires, and all of that for your race cars, correct?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, early on when I was dirt racing, they had a couple of books, about chassis setup and stuff, but I don't think the books were very good. They were not helpful to me, and I wasn't interested. That was almost as bad as the stuff that I'd go to school. You know, I just wasn't, I didn't even complete them, finish them. So it was hands-on, trial and error, common sense, ask a lot of questions. Always ask a lot of questions from people who were better than me, and then, when I graduated high school, I moved, Larry Phillips, I was racing against Larry Phillips every Friday and Saturday night. And Larry was a good dude, and I hit him up for a job in the shop because I wanted to learn more about fabrication and stuff. And so I spent the summer working for Larry. He even had me prepare his car to race against me once or twice, had me change the gears and, do some of the service, change his oil and stuff like that, and in his car, and then raced him on Friday night at Springfield. So, and then, I always ask, I asked Prickle or I asked Seneca. I asked Darrell Waltrip. He was a great mentor. He would always tell me what springs he had in that Junior Johnson car in 1982. So I would ask a lot of questions and pay a lot of attention. And, people say it's crazy that you can remember the chassis setups from 1978. Or 77 or 70, 79 or 80. I can remember, the springs, the shocks, weights, the tire stagger, all that stuff. And people say, that's crazy, you can remember that. And I'm like, that was important. I didn't have to write it down. I remembered what I ran at Plover, Golden Sands. that time I went there in 77 or 78. You know, I remembered all that stuff. So I don't remember a lot of things now, but I remember that stuff.
So Matt, is your memory as good as your dad's?
About certain things, yes, I would say, but I don't know. He's got a pretty darn good memory when it comes to, you know, setups and anything to do with cars, automobiles, you know, his motorhome. It's pretty impressive. So
Yeah, I remember you guys were doing a live video, and it was this winter, I believe, and you're having people ask questions and stuff, and I asked, what was your favorite track here in Wisconsin where I live? And your answer was Slinger, if I remember correctly. And then I said something about the setup, and I was just like, you answered just like that. It was like, I was just blown away. I've heard you do that so many times that I'm like, it's just amazing how good of a memory. But you're right. It is important when you're racing. That's what wins you the race. Is that stuff.
It is, and it's funny that you say that because you know I ran in '84. You know, we ran the rival Frings car for the Slinger Nationals and stuff, and we run the Hanley car, ASA car for the ASA race, and we ran a pair of 450s and a pair of 175s in both of them. You know, ran the same springs. Some of the other numbers were slightly different, but you know, not a lot. It was kind of crazy. But yeah, I remember all that. You know, it was very important. And I was just telling Matt last night about going out to qualify on sticker tires. In '77, I was new to asphalt, you know, and by the time I made it up to Wisconsin to race, you know, I had some under my belt, but I really wasn't used to rolling out qualified on sticker tires. And we rolled out at State Park Speedway on stickers, and it had gotten dark by then. It was dark, and we had practiced during the day, and I couldn't believe how slippery the car felt, but how we went faster than we did, you know, in practice on those new tires. And I'll bet you, I can't remember for sure, but I bet you we set fast time that night. I was thinking we did.
Now, Mark, is there a certain race in your career that is more memorable than any race that you've ran?
I've got you know, it's hard to single out one. I'll take them through stages. Bolivar in '76 when we won. '77 the Rockford National Short Track Championship. I think it was the 12th annual then. That was like a Daytona 500, honest to God. You know, those really stand out. The 2009 win at Phoenix was really pulled at my heartstrings, you know, there. But those early races, that National Short Track Championship was something because, you know, I was nobody. I mean, I was nobody. And we went to the National Short Track Championship so we could race against the best so that we could learn. And we were second quick time and won the race. Now, you know, obviously Trickle had trouble and Refner blew up, you know, but it's 200 lap race. You know, you've got to finish. In order to finish first you must finish. And we were there to capitalize on their, you know, their issues. And that was a big deal. But we won a dirt race in Bolivar the year before that was just insane. Like there again, you know, I didn't get in the show from time trials, had to run a C main, transferred to the B and missed the spot by one spot. And we didn't know nothing. We never run dry slick or anything. And Shaw and my dad talked to the guy who made it, finished second in the B, and told him he'd give him the winnings if they'd let me run. And so he agreed to do that. So I went over to the Firestone truck and picked out, you know, I had mud tires. That's what we raced on. I picked out some Firestone fine tread tires. I don't even know about compounds yet, so I don't know what I got. Put them on there on the back and lined up at the back of the feature. And there again, I never run dry slick. They're all up there in the black running. I'm down on the infield, and I got some bite down there. And I'm passing cars, passing cars, passing cars, passing cars. Then the checkered flag flew and the race was over, and I didn't even know I'd won. You know, I'd passed everybody. It was crazy. Grandstands went nuts. I mean, you know, because I was 17 and looked 12.
I'm gonna guess you got. I'm gonna guess you got called to the impound on that one.
It was crazy.
Tear it apart. Tear it apart.
Yeah, it was crazy. Joe Nagler was the big engine builder in Missouri, built all the hot dogs, a lot of hot dogs engines. And he come over there and was pointing at the right rear tire, and he said, "Look at that right rear tire. It wasn't even working." And Larry Shaw, this is how much Larry Shaw knew. Larry Shaw said, "Well, it must have been working a little bit. We won the race." You know, I mean, it didn't wear any. In other words, it was way too hard, and it didn't have any wear on it. But you know, that's how dumb we were. I mean, how we won races in, you know, that year, and then at the National Short Track Championship, I'll never know.
Now, is there any driver that you can think of now that kind of reminds yourself of you when you were running, as far as, let's say, knowledge and the input of the vehicle? Or are they more just the sim racers that have, you know, grown up in, you know, karts and then, you know, just kind of tumbled their way in? Now it's all computer and analytics versus actual experience.
The only one that I don't know Justin Haley personally, and I've never been around him, so I don't know. But I know what I see on social media, and I believe that Justin, you know, he built a dirt modified. He won races with it. You know, he runs dirt, runs good. And you know, I'm a big fan of his. I don't know if he knows much about cup cars or not. I couldn't answer that because I'm not close enough. But he runs really good in those cup cars. He gets a better finish than the car is. He's rarely in any kind of dust ups. He misses almost all the wrecks, and he brings it home in one piece and clean. And those are the traits of old. That's not the traits of new. So I like what I see there. I don't know. I'm not close enough to the rest of them to really know. Ryan Priest obviously knows, you know, everything. He builds his own modifieds and stuff. I'm a huge fan of Ryan. I'm very disappointed at the results he's been able to get, because I'm like one of his biggest fans, and I believe he should be able to be successful. But the problem you have with NASCAR is it's not how good you are, because everybody's pretty good that drives them. It's how good the people are that you're driving for. And that's really, really, really important. Whereas you could, like, I believe that Justin Haley takes a mid-pack car and runs 10th or 12th with it. But that's all you can do. You know, you can't take a mid-pack car and run top 5. You could probably do that back in my era. A driver could probably have enough influence. You could come in and say, put this spring, this bar, this weight, all this stuff, and you'd go out and you could take a mid-pack car and run, you know, almost a top 5 with it. But you can't now. I mean, there's so many guys from Wisconsin that I can think of that built cup cars back in the late 70s, early 80s. Think about that. Think about somebody up there now that wants to build a cup car. Only thing you can do is pay Gibbs or Roush or somebody to build you a car. There's no way that you could hang a body, you know, even if you bought the chassis. There's no way you could even put a body on that would pass tech. You know, you got to have all this crazy laser equipment and everything. You couldn't do it. So it's a different time for sure.
So how about a grassroots level racer that's racing in like the a Cars tour or like the ASA tour that reminds you of yourself? Is there anybody out there that you think of? I can think of one person, but I was just curious what your opinion is, or if you have one.
So probably, Majeski, who's a little bit, higher up than what you're asking me about, but that's the one that I can pinpoint. I'm a big Majeski fan. I have a soft spot in my heart for late models, and I love late model dirt racing, but my foundation was built on late model asphalt racing. So I have a very fond spot in my heart for that. I kind of watch that stuff. The only guy I really know, Majeski. I can't really think of the other drivers. I'm not close enough to it to know many other drivers right now that would fit that bill.
I was thinking Bubba Pollard, just based on how he travels all over. He's successful all over where he goes. Similar to like what you did. That's who I was thinking of. And Ty obviously was the other one that I was thinking of too.
I was going to say Bubba Pollard, but I didn't know if that'd be appropriate or not because he's a little more fiery than I was, personality-wise. He gets a little. It seems like he gets in some dust ups, maybe not of his doing, but he sure doesn't. He doesn't take any stuff on the racetrack, any crap on the racetrack. That's for sure. But certainly, Bubba Pollard is a guy who is. In a sense, underdog. He got to run that one Xfinity race, and everybody was pulling for him to do. You'd love to see him get that one big break, kind of like Josh Berry Jr. He's ran that late model so long that I thought there was never a chance for him to get his chance. And then finally he did. And so it's cool to see that. I like seeing guys that take the route of greasy hands, making it happen. That's why I like, that's what drove my attention to Matt Kenseth, because I knew how hard it was. The hardest racing in the world is Wisconsin racing. That's the hardest place in the world to succeed. And once I was in NASCAR, I keep seeing this Matt Kenseth winning races up there, and it's not in the same car. And if it's not in the same car, that means he has to know how to make them win. He has to. He can't rely on his team. So I knew, without ever meeting Matt, just from the races he was winning and the cars he was winning in, that he was the one. And so, he was really special.
Now, being teammates with him for so many years and knowing him personally, do you guys still talk and communicate on somewhat of a regular basis?
I text him once in a while. He texts me back, sometimes not right away. He seems like he's more busy than he's ever been, living his life and being part of his daughter's lives and all that stuff and all his training. He did send me a picture of a girl in a Viber jacket when he was in Japan running the marathon over there. Said, in Japan, saw this jacket. And I already knew he had completed the marathon. It was like the next day. So he didn't even know, and he didn't tell me I'll run a marathon. I keep up with him. He's a bad boy. I mean, to be able to do what he does now, it takes the same kind of dedication that it took to get to the top of NASCAR. And he's just shifted from racing cars to the next chapter.
So I wanna bring up your Hall of Fame. What was your thoughts when you got inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame?
Wow, that was definitely the crown jewel of my career. That's what I said. Of course, I sat in that room and I looked at those banners all around the room of Cale Yarborough and and you know, my heroes, you know, were in there, and it just seemed unreal to me that was really happening. It just didn't, you know, because you know, I was a NASCAR fan in the early 70s. You know, I mean, I was in the grandstands at Daytona, 74, 75. I was in the grandstand in 76 when Richard and when Petty and Pearson tangled coming off of 4 and wrecked right in front of us. I was standing up in my seat in the grandstands right there at the Trioval. So these guys were my heroes. I never dreamed. I was a kid from Arkansas that raced dirt, that just, you know, everything was straight up, you know, until 1982, when I fell on my face and lost my entire career and had to start from square one, ground zero, in back in '84 to start all over again. And I never even expected to come back NASCAR racing. In fact, at the time I was so pissed about the whole situation that I didn't play. I planned on racing late models for the rest of my career. And you know, after doing that 3 years and getting back to an ASA championship, I saw that wasn't going to be enough for me. And so we got a shot back at NASCAR, and that time, you know, I got hooked up with Jack Roush, and he gave me the opportunity when no one else would. And, you know, it's all history from there. And then getting to see Jack inducted into the Hall of Fame as well, and being there for that was really, really special. And, you know, going in with Rick Hendrick, who got me 5 wins and a runner-up championship at 50 years old, was pretty darn cool too. So it is definitely the highlight of my career. And then only second to that would be my IROC stuff. And, you know, Matt can probably tell you even more. He knows more about that IROC stuff than I could tell you, because he's actually working with them on the Lime Rock race coming up. So I'd let Matt tell you a little bit about that.
Yeah, you know, I don't know if you guys know, but Ray Evernham actually, you know, bought the rights and everything to, you know, the IROC brand, IROC series, and so he's hired me just for the next 3 months leading up to the Lime Rock event, July 19th and 20th, just to, you know, run their social media and everything. So I've been doing a little bit with that, and that's been a lot of fun. But yeah, diving into all that stuff, you know, of course, I've, you know, been reading a lot about the stats of different drivers. And of course, I know dads very well. But every now and then you might see, it depends on the mood I'm in, but every now and then I'll get into it with some fan or something on social media arguing about stats and stuff. So I know, I'll just put it to you like this. I know dads and Dale Earnhardt's IROC stats very well. So
As well as Dale Jr.'s. I mean, not Dale Jr.'s, Al Unser Jr.'s.
Jr. Yeah.
Yeah, sick. Matt actually pointed out that Junior's numbers were absolutely fabulous, which is, I didn't know his numbers were. I just knew that it was unbelievable how Al Unser Jr. would fly in and hop in a stock car, you know, fly in from a IndyCar race and hop in a stock car and outrun Earnhardt and myself. I mean, the dude was incredible. And Matt knows the stats on that, and his average race finish, you know, for as many races was actually, I think, better than Dale's. Isn't that right, Matt?
I believe so. I had to go back and look. You know, but he ran a total of 53 IROC races, and he won 11 and 2 championships. And I mean, you got to think, like, he's not a stock car driver, you know, and it's kind of unfortunate, but he's overshadowed by, you know, of course, Dad and, you know, Dale Earnhardt Sr., you know, for whatever reason. But Al Unser Jr., is a badass, and his IROC stats show that for sure.
Yeah.
I was actually just watching a YouTube special on Mr. Everhand's racing race car collection with all of the IROC cars and what was it? I can't even remember. He bought one of the movie cars in DuPont, pinstriped it to a T. But the IROC cars with dirt and mud and asphalt and rubber still on them, sitting in his garage, and you look back at it, and at least for me, I've seen a couple. I believe your car is at the North Carolina Hall of Fame, over in Mooresville, over by Simpson Fabrication. But I did see he had one of Dale Senior's at his house or at his shop. And to me, looking back at it and going, man, it was 30 years ago, seeing the transformation from, the IROC all the way up to, what was it, the Dodge Daytona or something like that,
Yeah.
that they were running for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and one thing
Yeah,
that's
and,
pretty cool. One thing that's pretty
was
cool
gonna-
about those IROC cars is that, people don't think about it, but they used those cars, for a long time. And so, when they changed, from the Camaros to, like the Dodge Daytona or Dodge Avenger to the Trans Am and everything, or the Firebird, they were the same chassis. And so,
Oh, wow.
some of these cars have, multiple wins from all these different legendary drivers. Like one of the cars that we have of Dad's that's going to be at Lime Rock it's a Dodge Avenger. It's the car that he drove in 1995 at the last race that year. But Earnhardt won in it, Martin Brundle won in it, and Al Unser Jr. won in it. And I mean, a bunch of other, legendary drivers drove it too. So when you start thinking about the history of those IROC cars, if you have one, I mean, you really have something if you own one of those cars. I mean, they're really valuable. I mean, just, from that perspective, if you just think of all the drivers that raced those cars. So really neat, really neat.
Now, we actually have a special guest that is going to be coming in. Mark, Matt, I'm going to be bringing in this special guest right now. It says he's joining. He hops in.
But Mark, I do want to say, being from North Carolina and seeing your bust and your all your achievements at the NASCAR Hall of Fame was an absolute pleasure. And it's just really cool to see you in there with some of my heroes, and obviously your heroes as well.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, that was a magical night, really special. A lot of people that were really important to me and special to me, family and everything, were there that night. And it was the most special night of my career.
Well, Mark, we got Ray Stevens in the building. Ray, how you doing?
What's up, guys? What's up,
Hey,
Mark?
Ray.
Mark, nice to meet you. Yeah, so when you guys were jumping on, Bobby and Rob reached out. I've been a primary sponsor of Jeremy's for the past 8 years. And so one of the things that being a huge race fan, that being a sponsor has allowed me to do is do throwbacks. And throwbacks are so hard to come by when we have such a huge group of sponsors like Jeremy has. It's almost like getting in a ring and having to fight for Darlington. So I just said the hell with it, and I'll run a throwback wherever I'm on the race, whichever racetrack I'm at. So I've thrown back to the Gray Ghost, to Buddy Baker. I've thrown back last year to Neil Bonnett's Sitco scheme. Yeah, there you go. There's Gray Ghost.
Oh,
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
And then that was Neil Bonnet's last year. So
Yeah, that's cool.
that's
Yeah.
cool. So this year at Atlanta, I was thinking, man, like, where do I go? Who do I pay tribute to? And you were the one I wanted to do it for. So at Atlanta, we are going to run JR51. And that's it right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yep. So it's an honor, Mark, to be able to do that. Throw back to you. As a huge race fan, you were one of the guys, man, that I pulled for, and it's an honor and a privilege to be able to do that. So, and I don't know what you're doing that weekend. I don't know. It's the weekend after Labor Day, but you're more than welcome to come to the racetrack and be our guest. I'd pay for everything for you to get there. Might give you a good reason to drive that badass motor coach of yours. But I don't know what you have planned. But anyway, just wanted to throw that out there and thought it was a good opportunity to be able to share that with you.
You don't know how much I appreciate it, and I'm honored as well. That car means an awful lot to me, and as you know, we own that car now. And it was a special car. The last time it was on a racetrack was Atlanta.
That's cool.
Yeah, so after the season was over in '99, we actually did a test at Atlanta right after the race there, and so it never saw a racetrack after that. So we got our hands on it. But back to you, I appreciate you so much. I love Jeremy Clements. I had heard some rumblings that there might be a throwback, but I didn't know what. So I've had Atlanta on my radar screen. I'm kind of like Matt Kenseth. I'm so busy now, retired, it's unbelievable. Right now, the first thing we got to do is get all the way to Connecticut for this IROC reunion deal, which is going to be fun. But I appreciate you. That is really, really cool. And Matt and I will put that on a radar screen and see if we can make it for that race, because it's a true honor. I've had a lot of people ask me when I was racing toward the end of my career how I wanted to be remembered. And I just said, man, I just want to be remembered. Oh, yeah. And, that's really special. Very cool.
That's cool. One of the things that I remember about you too, I'm from Atlanta, and being from Atlanta, hip hop is in my blood, and Gucci Man.
Oh,
I've always
man.
thought that was so neat that you have that you love that genre of music.
Yeah, and I love him, man. I love him. We got to figure out, if you could figure out how to get him to the track, I'd probably come. There'd probably be nothing that could stop me. I've never met him, and some people say you should go to one of his concerts, and I'm like, I don't know if I'd be completely safe or not at one of them concerts. Them boys are pretty wild. Gucci can be pretty scary. Of course, he's not as scary as he used to be, but my favorite Gucci is the old Gucci.
Sure.
For sure.
Well, I appreciate you, Mark, and Matt. I appreciate you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Ray.
Bobby, Rob, Dave. Thank you guys for what a cool opportunity. So
yes, sir. I appreciate you, Ray. Thank you.
All right,
thank you, man.
guys.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Ray.
Thanks, Ray.
All right,
We appreciate you, man.
I'll see you at Atlanta.
So, what do you think, Mark?
Yeah, that's really cool. That's so special. And I'd like to get Matt's comments on it, because he's the one that is, he pursued getting JR51 and getting it back. And I'll let him talk a little bit about that, because he's got that, and he's also in the restoration process of JR10 and a Hendrick car. So I'll let Matt talk about that.
That was one of the things that I was gonna ask about. Anyways, because I follow Landon Best and saw the video and you in 2022, you got to drive JR51 at Las Vegas, and the smile on your face It was like you could tell. It was amazing. So glad it's back to its proper place. And sorry to cut you off, Matt, but I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, man, it's all good. Yeah, Landon, like you said, Landon Best found the car, and Landon's the man. But he found the car and restored it. And he brought it to Las Vegas so Dad could pace the field back in 2022. And as soon as I saw Landon, we were on pit road. I had the opportunity to tell him, like, hey, man, you ever decide, way down the road, you want to sell this thing, please, give us or me, because if Dad don't want it, I want it. Give us the opportunity to buy this thing. And he said, yeah, absolutely. And so he ended up deciding that he wanted to sell it because I think he wanted to get into vintage racing, and he wasn't going to race a car that was that historic. So he wanted something that he could feel good, racing. So he decided to sell it to us, and we got it. And man, it's perfect. I mean, if you didn't know any better, you would think you just rolled it out of the shop. Back in 1998, 1999. I mean, it's perfect. So we've got that car, but we've had another car, JR10, which was built in 1989, and that got Dad and Jack Roush's first Winston Cup win, and it won in that race in '89 as a Stroh's car. It won at Atlanta in '91 as a Folgers car, and then it won at Phoenix in '93 as a Valvoline car. And so we've had that chassis for, gosh, I don't know how long Dad's had it. I mean, I was probably still in school, but it didn't have an engine or anything, and it had some stuff that needed to be worked on. So we've sent the car to Landon, and Landon's finishing up the restoration, getting the engine put in it and working. So we've got that, and I tracked down Dad's last win car in 2009 that he won with at New Hampshire. It also won the Phoenix race in 2009 as well. So I tracked that down, and Hendrick still had it. It was just, a chassis. It was totally stripped bare, but we contacted him about it, and Rick just gave us the car. He did, he put it rolling, it's a rolling suspension now, so it had wheels and tires, but we've got to start from ground zero to get it all back to how it was. But that's going to take a lot longer than JR10. But yeah, we've got all those cars now, so that's been really cool. Been a fun project.
That's awesome.
My absolute favorite's the Winn-Dixie. I mean, when I think Mr. Mark Martin, I think Winn-Dixie. That to me started it all.
Yeah, that Winn-Dixie car kept me in a job. If it hadn't been for that car, winning races with that car, there were times when I might have got bounced out of the 6 car when we were having having problems and not running as good as we should. But that 60 car, was my baby, and it always seemed to run good and kept me in the game.
Well, talking about that 60 car, if you go to Michigan, they actually have the Roush Automotive Collection, and Adrian and I stumbled across it one day, and there sits Mark Martin's number 60 Winn-Dixie car. I was like, no kidding. Like, coolest thing ever. I mean,
Yeah.
just to see the technology from then to now, it's like, wow.
Yeah. It's crazy how much it's changed. And we actually have the my final Winn-Dixie race was Homestead, and Jack gave me that car, and it's not been really cleaned much either. It's still got the road rash on the front of it. So that was really nice of Jack. Give me that car, and it's there in Batesville in our museum.
Well, I know you guys are very busy, and we have a time limit, so I don't want to go over the time limit. So I appreciate you guys coming on today, and you guys are welcome anytime to come back on.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys. Thanks for having us on.
Hey, no problem.
It's been an honor. I'm that you guys took the time to share with us tonight. So we greatly appreciate it, especially as a new podcast and just 3 race fans that decided to start talking about racing. This has been an honor and a privilege. Just before you go though, I was going to say with the Mark Martin archive and the shop, how do you go about getting in contact with your social media? And also if somebody wanted to buy, like, for instance, I have the ASA Mark Martin sweatshirt that I got. How would somebody go about buying that merchandise?
Yeah, so if you want to buy any merchandise, you can go to markmartinarchive.com. We've got die-casts and apparel on there, and we also have a limited edition poster up there right now. So you can go to markmartinarchive.com and you can follow the Instagram page. And I also have a YouTube channel. It's not super active, but I post some longer videos and stuff on there. So that's how you can follow Mark Martin Archive. And then, of course, Dad has his personal social media pages. So he's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Cameo as well. So
Well, I greatly appreciate it again, Mark. It's nice to meet you, Matt. You also, and look forward to possibly seeing you at Atlanta with Ray with that number 51 car.
We'll work on getting Gucci Mane there. If we find out you're coming, we're gonna try to get Gucci Mane there. We'll see what we can do.
All right. It's been fun with you guys.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
we really
thank you
appreciate
guys.
it.
Appreciate
You guys have
it.
a great evening. Take care.
You too.
Thank you.
My mom's gonna absolutely kill me. She's been texting me left and right. She said, "Tell Mark Martin I said hi."
So
and I'm like, "Nope, Mom, I can't do that right now."
Just like the Dale Earnhardt, Jr. after he got done with his what was almost 2 hours, I think he had Mark on. He's like, I didn't get to like 3/4 of the questions. So like this is our script. It's like what, 5 pages? I think I don't. Sometimes we don't even. I mean, like tonight we didn't even really follow it. We just, it's like talking points or whatever. I know, and some of our guests, the viewers that are commenting and asking questions. Unfortunately, we had limited time and weren't able to ask those questions too. But hopefully, we can get Mark and Matt back on, and we can go ask further questions. But I mean, what a great!
I was that surprised by Ray. I mean, how cool is that?
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I'm going to have the pleasure of actually seeing that car going with Stacy down to Atlanta in the fall. Hopefully we finish in a good position, and man, I can't wait. It was actually a shock to me that car was racing at Atlanta after I had already gotten tickets.
Right.
I mean, so that makes it that much better. I'm super stoked about it.
Is that September 7th, I think?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So episode 25, that was segment 1 was brought to you by Spartan Waste. Segment 2 was brought to you by Alliance Driveway Solutions. I'm sorry we didn't throw that out there. I knew we were short on time, so I figured I'd do it at the end. I cannot thank everybody enough for all the hard work. I mean, this is absolutely insane that we had Mark Martin on the show tonight. I know Rob and Dave and I put in a lot of work to be able to get Mark on, and I can't thank Mark and Matt enough. So with that being said, we are going to go to segment 3, and we're going to let that is brought to you by Action RV, and we're going to let Rob take over and let him tell you about Jeremy's weekend.
So this weekend, I actually did not fall asleep, and I watched the race.
Attaboy.
I should say I didn't watch the whole thing live. I recorded it, but I did watch the race, and I did listen to the scanner. I had some stuff I had to do, unfortunately, during the race. But Jeremy qualified P23. In practice, he was having issues with, if I remember, his car turning right. It wasn't turning right well, so Mark adjusted the rear shocks before qualifying, and then in qualifying it became a little bit of loose handling, and we started chattering the right front tire, and that was basically the theme throughout all three stages of the race. He was battling a little bit of loose handling car and lack of forward drive and chattering the right front tire. Stage one, he ended the stage in P15, so he was running decent mid-pack. Stage two, he ended up finishing P16, and then stage three, it got a little more crazy and hectic, and with 28 laps to go in the race, there was a restart, and in the corner, that real sharp corner, all the cars accordioned, and Jeremy got rear-ended, and he drove off the track, avoided the main collision, but when they pitted, he got a speeding penalty, so then he had to go to the rear. He worked his way back up and to the top 15, and then with 11 to go, in a corner, the one where they put the new inside cement barrier wall where it used to be the tires, he basically got punted and spun and ended up falling back, losing several spots, and finished the race. What was it? I think it was like P22 or something like that. Yeah, P22. The interesting thing is, and I haven't seen Jeremy vocal before with another driver on social media and on X. Chandler Smith, a driver of the 81 Colic car, made a post about somebody had a chart of the number of green flag passes, number of cars passed, whatever, and SVG or Shane Van Gisbergen, the 97 Colic Racing Chevy, won again. He got his second straight Xfinity Series victory on a road course in Sonoma, and Chandler Smith on there supposedly passed the most cars under green flag conditions, and Jeremy responded to him something along the lines of, yeah, but you dumped me. So then him and Chandler engaged back and forth, which I was like, wow, this is, not normal Jeremy Clements. He doesn't usually engage like that. Usually he's not vocal, but obviously I'm like, this is good. This is what, that little fire inside, finally I've had enough. So now it's time to, go forward and say something on social media or whatever. And they had a little back and forth, and of course Chandler Smith said, watch the video, I didn't dump you. And if you do watch the video, he dive bombed the corner inside a space where there was not enough room, pushed the cars out, bumped it, and they bumped into each other. I think it was the 17 and the 26 car, and they spun Jeremy. So ultimately, he didn't directly dump Jeremy. He indirectly did it by being over aggressive, going into the corner in a space where the ultimate thing was going to be a wreck. There was no avoiding it. There was just no room. Somebody was going to get spun out. So I thought that was good to see Jeremy be a little voiceful on social media, and maybe this will make some of these younger drivers take notice that he's the longest tenured Chevy driver in NASCAR, and he's got, between him and Ryan Sieg are the highest tenured Xfinity Series drivers in the series, that they're the veterans that they need to respect and think more and look past their front of their hood, and not drive over their heads and be smart. So,
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way on Sunday when, I'll take the over on this one. Fucking Chastain, dumped Bush, in fifth place. I was so pissed. I had the same thing with Jeremy. I'm going, we had a top 15 going, and then get punted. It's been the same shit every single week, and this is the first time that Kyle hasn't came out, but Samantha came out on X, and
I saw that
and lit him up. I personally, I commented on her post. I said, don't be like Delana Harvick, because they will come at you, just like Logano did with Delana, who wears the fire suit in the family. And
yes, I forgot about that.
Which has been many years ago, but I didn't want to see her in that spot. But even she's getting pissed. That, like you said, the veteran drivers are not being treated like veterans.
No.
And
they're getting treated like they're rookies, and it's sad.
Yep, and I think it's
lack of respect.
I think it's the veterans respecting the younger guys and understanding, yes, they're younger, but at the same point in time, when you're young and dumb, you just want to shoot for it and then go on to the next week, where the veterans know that, even like Mark said, you got to have a car to win.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Chandler Smith is a very good, talented young driver. It's just I don't know. When I watched the video of it, I saw it live, and then I watched the video of it a few more times. I'm like, what were you thinking? I mean, there's nowhere to go. You got all the cars on the outside. They're pinching down at the apex, and you just dive bombed right in there. So, right. You're going to go, if anything, you're going running against the wall. The cars in front of you are going to go and wreck, or, accordion into one another and wreck. So, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, but that was just stupid.
Right.
Just plain stupid. Jeremy and a lot of these veteran drivers, I think these young kids, because they don't say anything, or like retaliate or whatever you want to say per se, they just know that they can get away with it. And until they get put in their place, and called out on it, they're going to keep doing it.
Right. I really thought, we didn't talk about it last week, but the Kyle and Kyle incident, and if you're new to the show, yes, I'm a Kyle Busch fan. That's actually how I got started with Jeremy Clemens. Was I love the 51 car, and then if you're down here in the Charlotte area, you watch the Rise guys, and Jug got on there one time, and I heard him making fun and real lighthearted, and I said, you know what, that's the kind of guy that I can get behind. And then I started following him, became kind of a friend, and then started to go to a couple of appearances of his, and then I got goat roped into what we like to call a professional podcast with me on it. But as you can see behind me, I've collected a lot of gear over the past couple of years, I would say. But for to get back to it, the experience, I don't think they look up to them like they used to. I really think that, it's all for one and all for none, when it comes to driving the exact same car at the exact same track with the exact same technology.
Right. Well, the other thing is, these kids aren't like Jeremy. All the damage on his car on the track, it's coming out of his pocket.
Yeah.
Whereas, like Chandler Smith, race for Colleague, Matt Colleague is paying for it. Sam,
Right.
Chandler Smith is not paying for it. Or, like Mark was saying, Jordan Anderson Racing. He owns his own race team. He gets wrecked. He's gonna, or Ryan Sieg, for example.
Yeah.
Those guys are all the damage to their cars coming out of their pockets, and it's
Absolutely.
like these kids that they're talented and have the money behind them to get the ride. It's like, I got the ride. I don't have to pay for it, so I'm going to send it, basically.
Right. It's kind of like
And-
watching Danica race for 3 years.
What was that?
It's kind of like watching Danica race for 3 years.
Oh, I honestly didn't. I didn't ask. I honestly didn't hear that. So the
Okay.
first time. So, but
So
I did the
hopefully-
second time, Dave.
I
Yeah.
guess if she's on the show, I won't be allowed on. But
No, it's fine.
So next week, or the next race is Iowa Speedway on Saturday, June 15th. The return to Iowa by NASCAR primary partner Whitetail Smokeless, one of our sponsors.
Yep.
If you are at the track, look for Rob and his crew from Whitetail Smokeless and say hi.
My guess is they're going to have some bright orange shirts on, or
Absolutely.
possibly some type of crew shirt. But they're good people. They like to have fun, and I'm bummed. I'm not able to go. It's it's
here.
only 4.5 hours away from my house. But it's Father's Day weekend too. By the way, happy early Father's Day to all the fathers and stepfathers and all the people that act as fathers. So
Happy Father's Day.
yes, happy Father's Day from us all. That race is sold out. The Xfinity and Cup, which
Yeah.
is cool. But the issue today, I didn't realize this. I was listening, or going through some social media stuff, and Christopher Bell. It was Bell, Blaney, and I don't remember the other driver. They did tire testing there. I know Bell did for sure, but apparently NASCAR, NASCAR owns Iowa Speedway. They decided to, it was Denny Hamlin was the other one. They decided to basically in the corner repave the lower groove, maybe 2 lanes. So it's going to be basically a 1.5 to 2 lane race in the corner. And if you get outside of that, it's going to be game over. You're going to be so loose. They were saying all the grip's going to be low. So they're like going, why did they do this? Some of them are saying they should have just left it the way it is. Now it's going to be basically like a 1.5 groove race. Maybe you could get 3 cars there if you force the issue. One of the guys said, but it's like, it'll be interesting to see. I think it was Christopher Bell. I think he was the one that said they should have just left it the way it is. It was either him or Blaney. I can't remember which one it is. So I'm old and my memory is not the greatest anymore. So
that kind of sounds like what they did to Bristol when they did the progressive banking. For the first probably 5 years, that was a boring race. And then the track came in, and now it's one of the go-to want to see races again.
Yeah, I agree. And Iowa Speedway is, if you're driving on, I think it's I-80, and you're just driving along, and there's like cornfields and cow pastures, and then all of a sudden there's this big ass racetrack in Newton, Iowa. It's like, where'd that come from? It's a cool track. It's just it's like in the middle of nowhere. It's cool when you drive by there. So hopefully they have a good time this weekend. And Jeremy finishes well. Like I said, I mean, I don't think NASCAR's raced there in, I think 10 years, I think they were saying, or something like that. I could be wrong. Like I said, my my memory's not the greatest. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I honestly can't remember the Cup Series racing at Iowa. That's how long it's been. I
yeah,
actually cannot remember.
I want to say it was back when Rusty Wallace was still racing, because
yeah. I believe
I
you're
think he
right.
won, I think he won one of the races, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe you're right. It's been a long time. I know
It's been a very long time.
IndyCar's raced there more
Right.
than Cup has recently. And the races with IndyCar have been decent. So, I mean, it's a little over a mile track. So they, I, I think if they're racing the short track package on it. I could be wrong, but I think that's what they're racing on it. So I guess
Now,
we'll see. We'll wait and see.
now
We'll
I
put
will
those
throw
stupid mud flaps on another car.
no mud flaps.
Yeah, we're gonna
No
get you a
rain
set of
tires,
those.
no mud flaps.
I
I'm gonna get you a set of.
honestly don't know. I honestly don't know what if they have the wet tire package or not for this race.
I
They
put flat
probably do
spot.
because it's the Midwest and you
I'm
could get any season at any moment. So they may even have snow tires available for this race. So
Oh
yeah,
geez. So next week's show is Tuesday, June 18th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. We have repeat guest. We have Ashton Higgins from the Cars Tour, pro late model driver. I'm looking forward to having him on. Dave and I have a surprise for everybody next week. I ain't saying anything past that, so don't ask. It's a surprise, but I'm super excited about it. We also have Boo Carlisle coming on. I was not able to be there for Boo on his first episode or his first show, so I'm looking forward to the show. So with that being said, I want to thank Rob. I want to thank Dave for everything that they did this week. For everything, all the fans out there, I greatly appreciate everybody. Ray Stevens, Mark, Matt, that was awesome.
right.
a lot of fun.
Don't forget to get on Podbean or YouTube to listen to the show. If you want to watch it like this, YouTube. If you want to listen to it, Podbean. We are trending overseas right now, which I'm still trying to wrap my head around, but that's freaking
Huge in
awesome.
Uruguay right now. Huge in Uruguay.
Uruguay, I think Thailand, they're because of Dave.
Right,
yeah.
Thai.
You
The
got
Swedes.
the UK, Germany.
Right.
They want Dave.
They want Dave.
So, anyways, make sure you guys follow
Who
us
doesn't
on
want the
Facebook.
Dave?
Oh, Jesus. Make sure you guys follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Stickygears.com. We still have t-shirts on there for sale. I believe they're $15 a shirt. Anamora Designs. Don't forget, guys, she does really good work on these cups. We're gonna work with her on a couple other things coming up. Maybe some Area 51 decals for your vehicle. She does flags, t-shirts, sweatshirts. Dave, what else she got?
Cups, mugs, you name it. If you've seen it or have a picture of it, just message her or just hop on her Instagram or Facebook. She responds right to you. By the way, Anna, congratulations on your new house.
Yep, congratulations.
Looks
Yes,
absolutely
congratulations.
lovely.
Yes.
I know you're putting in a lot of work there, but still getting stuff sent out to us.
She's actually listening to us right now.
Right, Anna, you're awesome.
So
You
Dave,
are awesome. We appreciate everything you do.
Did Stacy get her surprise yet from Anna?
Not yet, not yet.
Okay.
With the move, and I believe there was a discrepancy with one of them. But I did see the overall product. The shit's nuts that she can do. So definitely look her up. She does awesome work. Does wallets with either color or like a charcoal finish. I mean, for being an independent self-taught person, it's second to none.
Yeah, she's fantastic. She does great work.
Yeah, these tumblers are amazing. I mean, the finish and everything is just, it's awesome.
Right.
It's high quality stuff. So
But then, of course, we always want to thank my
racing-
secondary sponsor, the Racing Warehouse.
Yep. I was just
That-
about to say
that's
that.
right,
Racing
yes.
Warehouse Armadillo. These hats just came in. I freaking love these things.
Yeah, the black ones are sharp. I got one of those as well, along with Bobby.
Rob and I and Dave all
Yep.
have these polos. I
Yep.
got a gray one also, so can't wait to have them on the show. If you're looking for a piece of sheet metal, they are the go-to. As you can tell, look at Dave's picture. You can see all the sheet metal. If you want to buy any of that, just ask him. He might sell.
I mean, he is the
Or
substation or secondary warehouse location for them.
Yeah.
Right. Or you can just go to theracingwarehouse.com, type in Jeremy Clements. They did just get a new shipment, all the hats and all that good stuff. They still got some fenders, quarters, contingencies.
Yep.
So got some cool stuff out there. And then any race team you can think of, they've got something of just about everybody's. So give them a shout out. And if you need anything embroidered or custom hats made, they're Armadillo Embroidery. Absolutely awesome. Proud sponsor of Jeremy Clements as well.
Yep.
So, we definitely appreciate Eric and the whole team and Emily, the Queen. They do absolutely awesome work for the race fans.
Now, I'm going to throw this out here. So Beach Ridge Barbershop just posted a picture of the new Jeremy Clements hats that he came out with. He is going to be selling them at New Hampshire. So if you're at the track, get a hold of Matt from Beach Ridge and see about getting one of those hats because they are slick looking. With that being said, we want to thank all of our partners who make this podcast possible. Beach Ridge Barbershop, Spartan Waste, Impel Union, Alliance Driveway Solutions, First Pacific Funding, Elite Towing and Recovery, Whitetail Smokeless, Fly Inform, Concrete Structures, Runner's Roost, Matman Design, Action RV, and you can't forget the one, the only Booze Pops. So with that being said, episode 25. Wow. That was
hell of a show, guys. Hell of a show.
That was awesome.
Yes,
So with that,
yes, it was.
with that being said, I'm gonna share the Booze Pop jingle and
Booze popping.
oh geez. Don't do that. So with that being said, y'all have a good night and we will see you next Tuesday with Ashton Higgins and Boo Carlisle.
It's a veteran owned dog ice cream truck. Booze Pop, baby, it's Booze Pop, baby. Bringing people together. One booze pop at a time. Let's go. We're gonna rock out with our pops up, baby. It's the only pop that keeps you warm. You can rock out to go to boozepop.com.
Y'all have a good night and we will see you guys next week. And like Rob said before, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there and hope you guys have a great day.
Yep. Happy Father's Day, Dad. Love you.
Happy Father's